Graniola. This is the Graniola channel, and I'd like to tell you a folk tale. This story is unlikely to make it to the list of my top favorites, but I'm still partial to it because it comes from the same country as my maternal grandparents, and also because I'm a sucker for a happy ending. Typical of many of the stories from this country, there's really no big moral lesson or question in it. It's just a silly story told for entertainment, and it's called Pretty in Pink. In a small village, there lived a man and his wife who were popular with their neighbors because both of them were kind and ethical. They would have been completely happy in their lives if they had only had a child. All of their neighbors had children, and all of those children loved to visit their house. The woman always had cookies baking in the oven, and her husband was never without a bowl full of candies to offer. The man and the woman said prayers every day, asking to be blessed with a child, any child at all. The neighbors visualized scenarios in which the couple would finally have offspring. Any boy or girl would do. This is a situation that has repeated itself often, but with different results. After waiting for many years, a wonderful event took place. The woman delivered a baby. Everyone in the village gathered around to see the new arrival. When they saw that the woman was holding a small pink pig wrapped in a blanket, most of them, like the mother herself, were at a loss for words. Now, many people are aware that mothers do not necessarily instantly love their children the moment that they are born. It's often true that as that baby grows, his or her strange or quirky or special characteristics are what binds them together. So it was with the tiny pink pig. The couple would have preferred a small person that bore a resemblance to at least one of them, but they very quickly began to see her snout and squinty eyes as absolutely adorable. Although it is no doubt wonderful to be a parent, the position comes with some difficulties and hard work. In her first years, the mother always kept the tiny pig very close to her. All of the other children went to school, and finally their mothers convinced her that the little pig should do the same. Because the other mothers were kind, and small children copy the attitudes that they see at home, the little pig was treated well by her classmates, and she was content. The only unfortunate thing that happened during school hours was that once the teacher, who was a grumpy old man, threw a book at the little pig because he was sick and tired of spending his time in the classroom, and the little pig's squealing got on his nerves. The old man was a bit ashamed of himself for losing his temper, and to make up for his questionable behavior, he told the class that instead of staying in school the next day, they would go on a strawberry hunt. Although this sounded like great news to the tiny pig, who had ducked away from the book as it flew through the air and had already forgotten the incident, it worried her mother. Each child would need to have a basket, and this she knew could easily be hung on a snout, but she was certain that picking strawberries with hooves was not possible. She told her neighbor about her worries, and that woman offered to have her son, who was in the same class, to keep an eye out for the little pig. When the children had spread out in the woods, eyes to the ground, hunting for small red wild strawberries, the boy watched fascinated as he saw his neighbor unzip and then step out of her skin. Not only was the fact that this was even possible staggering to him, But the little girl, who was half the size of their other classmates, looked to him like a fairy princess who might be seen in a picture book. Everything about her was perfect, and her face and her pink dress glowed like blush-tinted pearls. When the harvesting was over and all of the children had returned to their own homes, the boy's mother asked him about the day. He only smiled and said that it had all gone perfectly well. He didn't say anything about the pretty, petite pig girl. This might have been because he thought that he had imagined what he had seen, or it could have been that he was sure no one would believe him. But whatever the reason, he kept his secret for years. As time passed, the classmates started getting together in couples to start new households. The pig girl's mother and father were resigned to the idea that she would always be alone, but the boy's parents were surprised that there was no other person that he wanted to be with. One day he came home and told them he intended to marry the pig girl. As you know, they were good friends with their neighbors, but on hearing this, they were not at all happy. They tried every argument that they could think of to try to get him to change his mind, but he stayed firm on his decision. In that town, when two people were to be married, there was always a joyous party with food and singing in the town square. When everyone has eaten and drunk their fill, the new couple makes their way to a loft, followed by musicians and townspeople who serenade them from below for an hour before making the final toast and applauding their union. The young man told his parents, who were still not at all happy about the situation, that a few moments after he and the little pig had climbed up the ladder to the loft, they would throw down a heavy pink garment, which he wished his father to immediately burn. This all happened as the boy had described, and 1 hour later, to the delight of the entire town, and in particular to the parents of the groom, the handsome young man and a glowing, perfectly beautiful, minute young woman in a pink dress climbed down the ladder to be congratulated as man and wife. This is one of the many happily ever after tales that are told in Hungary.